an oldish game. Released 2010? Jeez. 10 years ago. That's a bit old. This one's better, actually. This track. This is one of those soundtracks with the unfortunate named tracks. You know, classic level 1, level 2. But good soundtrack. Cool game, also. If you haven't played it, please do. Okay, hello everyone. What's up, Tony? Conrad. I saw your Twitter now. So just Conrad, is that your name? Conrad? Conrad. Good to see you again. Natasha, as always, good to see you. There's Jake. Submerged Tapes. There he is. That's him. Here he is. Conrado. Okay, thank you so much. It's always a bit of a challenge recalling everyone's like handles and stuff. I'm pretty sure there's like 4 or 5 people I just always just mix. Like who is their name and their handle. M. Fisher, what's up? Good to see you. Josh, hope you've been well. Thank you again for guest hosting way back when. How fun was that, right? Your name is very weird even in your own country. Okay, well, I don't feel as bad now. Thank you. Thank you. Today, we have one Steven Schappler. And you know what? I didn't even ask you, Steven, if it's Steven or Stefan. I'm pretty sure it's Steven. I think I saw it on the Vice thing you did. Where is that? Let me try and find that right now. That was so cool. It was like the vegetable violence article. Here we go. This is the one. Whoa. Settle down. Okay, pause in here. By the way, I already have, because we're not on Skype, since we're not on Skype, I just already have Steven chillin' here. And I don't know if you were hearing that previously, Steven. I didn't even ask you if it's Steven or Stefan. I've been assuming Steven the entire time. It is Steven. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
And I'll kill my side chain too, so I'm not stomping on you. What's up, man? Come on in.
Not a lot. I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right. Very unceremonious entrance. I apologize. Usually it's like, and welcome on in. But yes, he's already here, everyone. So
I came early.
Easy. Okay. So I was about to mention this Vice bit you did with Dexter Thomas.
Yes.
Some time ago. If I'm gonna put this in the chat too. If y'all haven't seen this, this is super cool.
Also, if you're squeamish, don't watch it.
Yeah, I mean it's
because it gets a little gnarly.
It's the classic thing to talk about. I mean, I don't know about you, but it's you're often besieged by questions like, what's the coolest thing you've recorded? Or like, what's the grossest thing you've recorded? Or like, what's the strangest solution you found to like recording something? It's always that question.
Right.
And I feel like vegetable violence is often the go-to. Is that your experience?
Yeah, because I think a lot of people can relate to vegetable violence. You know, they get it. It's an easy concept. It shows that we record things that are not necessarily the literal object to be the sounds for other stuff. So
it's a classic.
I think people dig it.
The grapefruit, man, is so good. Yeah, classic. There it is, the blood spurt. Well, if anyone hasn't watched that thing and cares to, please do. The link's in the chat. Put another tab. Watch it later. And again, if you're squeamish, don't watch it. It is Mortal Kombat. Okay, so Steven, thank you so much for making the time, man. I know you've been in the chat. Oh, of course, cheers. You've been in the chat here and there over the years of Real Talk. And yeah, I think we connected like some time ago on Twitter, maybe like a year or more, and just sort of said, hey, like in the future at some point, wouldn't it be cool if? And today you're here. So thanks, pal.
Today's the day.
Here it is. It's happening. So you are a senior, sorry, not senior, you're advanced sound designer at NetherRealm.
Yes, correct.
Similar concept to a senior sound designer at NetherRealm.
Yeah.
You've been there a while. You were working on Mortal Kombat 11, and before that, Injustice 2, and before that, also Mortal Kombat X. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, that was my first game there.
Oh, nice. So, we had Will Roger on here as well some time ago, who did the soundtrack for that one. Solid guy.
He worked with us for Mortal Kombat 11.
Oh, was he also in 11? I didn't realize that.
Yeah, just 11.
Oh, okay. Oh, just 11. I thought it was X. My bad. My mistake.
No worries.
So, one thing that I like to delve into with various folks who come on the stream, since the stream is all about people kind of getting their start in their respective careers in music and in game audio, it's important to remember that everyone started somewhere. So just to learn about how your entrance into the industry may have gone down, or maybe what your first paying gig was.
Yeah, totally. So going kind of super far back, I did study audio in school. I went to Indiana University, and they have a music school there, the Jacob School of Music. And within that, they have actually an audio recording program. And it was focused mostly on music, not really sound design or anything like that. But from there, I moved to New York City, and I was a recording engineer for a number of years. I worked freelance in New York for about 8 years, mostly recording music. And then I kind of branched out into television and film, doing stuff for that. Mostly music again, but then it kind of led to a lot of voiceover recording because it paid the bills really well.
Sure.
And then from there, I moved into doing some sound design stuff. I kind of discovered sound design then. I never really realized or thought of it as a career before that. But I really enjoyed it. And so I was like, man, I got to do as much of this work as I can.
I find that's very common, actually, kind of people not realizing
Yeah.
that there's this whole other kind of branch to the audio side of things.
Yeah. I had the blinders on for music for a really long time. And then I kind of just started working on my sound design skills, practicing, doing fun stuff at home. And then I got some sound design gigs in New York. I think the first game I did was a mobile game called Worm Runner with Golden Ruby Games.
Oh, yeah?
And then after that, I worked with these guys, these developers, Muse Games.
Oh, it's Howard.
On this,
Howard Sau.
Guns of Icarus online.
Yeah. Yeah, I met Howard years and years ago.
Yeah.
At Casual Connect in like 2013, I think. He was showing Guns of Icarus there.
Yeah. And then from there, I got hired at NetherRealm. So then I moved from New York to Chicago.
So what was the, how did you move, I guess, how did you discover sound design in the first place? Like, how do you make that transition into the game space?
From the game space?
Like, into the game space, yeah.
Yeah, I went to as many meetups as I could in New York, all over the place, just trying to meet people, network. And my first gig through the iOS game for Worm Run was just from a mutual friend. Like somebody that I knew that ran a recording studio. He knew somebody, and it was just kind of like, oh, I know this audio guy.
I know a guy,
Why don't
sure.
you guys contact him? Yeah.
Yeah, it's very frequently the case, I think. Even when it comes down to like people who've been in game sound for like 19 years, it's like, oh, how do you get to start? Oh, I knew a guy. That's kind of often the parallel there. So personally, I can't stress enough the value of just being out there doing stuff, like being at meetups, like you said, Stephen, or like game jams or events if you can afford it. We've gotten. You just have no idea where the connections will come from. It's sort of just putting yourself out in the world and then just like allowing, just trusting that you're planting seeds and hoping just
right. And
move forward from
sometimes,
there.
like, even if there's not a big necessarily like game audio community where you are, even just being in an audio community, like my first connection was through a guy who ran a recording studio. So it wasn't necessarily game audio, but it was audio. So it was kind of audio adjacent. But still helpful.
Right. So I guess we can probably dive into some Real Talk then. As far as the people in the chat, I think most people have been here before. I'm seeing a lot of familiar faces. However, Dinny Hoon. Hi, everyone. Happy to finally catch one of these live. I'm a sound engineering student picking up some great tips from watching the VODs. Excited for tonight's stream. Wow, how nice. Good to see you. Thank you for finding your way here. Otherwise, glad to see everyone else here. Bowman, good to see you, buddy. It's been a little while, too. Okay, so if you're first time here, Real Talk, we're looking at some game audio content from some up-and-comers every week, this same time, Thursday at 4 p.m. PST. And we've been very fortunate to have on some guest hosts recently as well, so you're not just hearing my dummy opinion over and over again. So thank you again to Stephen for joining us. We're looking at a few things on each reel. Today we're looking at Jake. Your last name, Gaule? Gaule? I'm not sure how you say your last name. I'm going to say Gaule. I think it's Jake Gaule, at least, isn't it? Am I making that up? I think it's G something. We're looking at Jake's stuff. We're looking at a few things. Presentation, material selection, content quality, and distinction. For presentation, we'll be looking at the website on the whole, the contents of the demo reel itself in this front page, and just things like just titling and aesthetics and taste and flow and all that stuff. For material selection, what is in the reel, what's in the portfolio materials, and what those things might suggest about this person's past work history, their current skill sets, and their future ambitions. For content quality, we're looking at just whether it's good or not at that industry standard of awesome. It's kind of always moving around, hopefully up. And distinction, are you standing out in some positive way, in any positive way? Even if we want to hire you right now, are you making an impression? There's a lot of people that want the same jobs. It's important to make a very strong impression if you can. So the most important thing to realize here is that I don't know about Stephen, but I'm going in blind. Have you looked at Jake's stuff previously, Stephen?
No, I'm also going in blind.
Okay, cool. So we go into this blind kind of in an exercise to best emulate what a first impression might look like. I have not seen Jake's stuff before, and it's kind of proven informative in the past as far as just seeing kind of where you're inclined to click. If we end up missing things that Jake thought was really important and was really proud of, well, that's perhaps an issue with like how things are presented, that kind of thing. So, okay, I guess we can just dive right on in then. You have this website open, yeah, Stephen?
Yep.
Okay, rad. So we got submerged tapes, sound design, and music on the front page. Home, about, sound design, music, sound libraries, blog, and contact. So before we do anything else, the classic, before you click blog, when do you think the last blog post was?
I'm going to go 9 months ago.
9 months. So that's like September last year? October-ish? Let's have a look. Blog. Is it dated? Oh, here it is. April 21st this year. Not bad.
Hey, very good. It's better than me, probably.
Very nice. We'll give you one of these. That's actually much better than usual. I think we saw one blog that was like 3 years ago was the last post, and we're like, okay, man, maybe just walk away from that blog for the time being. Okay, cool. So we go to About first here. About. My name is Jake. I'm an award-winning. Is this zooming in enough? Let's just zoom in a bit more yet. I'm an award-winning sound designer, composer, and field recordist based in Bristol. I started this website as a personal blog to keep track of my progress whilst I was studying for my MA in sound design, and now I'm growing it into a portfolio of my work as well as personal blog. I also create and sell sound libraries. It's a link to the same page. Yeah? You can currently find me on Sonus and a sound effect, and I'll be bringing my sounds to my own store on this site soon. So watch this space. Is that already happening, or is it actually soon? Whoa. Okay, yeah, so soon. All right, and moving on. I'm currently freelance and looking to work on more exciting indie game projects. I love narrative games, games with a serious message, and games that feel and sound great. If you're looking for audio for your project, please feel free to reach out to me over here. Contact page, cool. I'm also passionate about sound for film and podcasts, and excited about exploring the interrelation between narrative and sound across all forms of media. I'm always looking for new and interesting projects to work on, and when I'm not busy staring at a timeline, I love recording and can usually be found pointing mics at various objects. All right, my studio is at Lockdown Studios. Okay, and I previously worked at Doghouse Post as an assistant sound editor and Foley recordist. If you're interested in my previous work, you can find some of my credits on IMDb here. And if you'd like to get in touch, you can contact me over here. Okay. And a classic, share this at the bottom. Yeah, that's unfortunate. It's, I don't know about you, Steven. I get a bad taste in my mouth from like very templatey stuff, but it's, I don't know. To me, it kind of suggests like, there was room to invest in your career a little bit as far as like, purchasing a license to Squarespace or like hiring a designer or something. But instead it's like free websites. So I'm not sure how you feel about that.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's less about whether it was free or whether you invested in your own hosting or something. But for here, it doesn't make sense to have a shared
also that
field. So if it could be removed, that would be great.
Yes. Yeah. No one's gonna share your bio to Twitter, sadly. Okay. So as far as like bio stuff in general, how do you feel about this?
It's good. It's not too long, which I think sometimes newer sound designers can fall into the trap of like telling me their whole life story.
Sure.
Which I'm not super interested in. But it hits some of the big bullet points. Like it tells me about a little bit about his work, where he works, what he's interested in. And I like that.
Mm-hmm. All right, cool. I will mention you say get in touch twice, and that's probably more than you need to. And in general, people will get in touch if they want to get in touch. Music. Okay, sound design next. We'll have a glance here. So you got a page. Okay, wait. So the page is labeled. Oh, okay. So the entire page is always labeled sound design and music, submerged tapes, because I'm zoomed way in. Is that why? No, it's not. Okay. So this is maybe a little confusing to have the sound design and music always at the top, Jake, just because you've got like these, these headings of like about and sound design and so forth. Maybe just be aware of that.
Yeah, it's kind of in a weird place too. I feel like submerged tapes is the main header because that's kind of the name you're going under. And then the secondary header would be sound design and music. Like that is what submerged tapes is.
Yeah, like this is a singular thought. It's like it's one idea, it's not two.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, be aware of that, Jake. Let's pop over to sound design. So we got Windows short film. We got Hollow Knight sound redesign. Okay, we got linear show reel. Mattia, sure, yeah, classic. Space debris, quick rescore design, and some more share stuff. Okay, moving on. Music. Busted, says Jake. Yes, it's very WordPressy. Josh feels the WordPress vibes big time. Yeah, I mean, some of the pages in general, like Wix and Squarespace, etc., they tend to be a little restrictive if you're not paying for it, especially. It's kind of by design. Okay, music, some various stuff. Okay, great. And then we got sound libraries. Glanced at previously. Got a cool scrolling up thing. Nice. Alien and imagined atmospheres. This goes to a sound effect. Okay, and we got Ford Fusion plus ambisonics. Okay. Circuit bent toys. That's fun. And polystyrene destruction. Great. And I didn't even look at what your blog post was. I'm just going to glance at this. 21 days of video game music. Days 18 to 21. So, okay, cool. So you had like a kind of series going on. 14 to 18. Nice. That's cool. All right. And then contact, finally. The classic field. Okay. Yeah, this is like this... Like, I want to stress, like, every time I see this, like, template thing at the bottom, like, be the first to like this. It just, again, reminds me that I don't like it. So it's probably...
Yeah, now that I see that it's on every page, it's a little bit worse.
Yes. Okay, Twitter is working. Quick check on these links. SoundCloud's working. Bandcamp is working and Instagram is relevant. Yeah, totally. You got some various things you're recording and playing. Cool. Good stuff. All right. Do you want to watch this reel, Steven?
Yeah, let's dive in.
I guess I got to turn you off here. So let me just do that. I'll do that first.
Oh, real quick.
Yeah.
Before we watch the reel. I don't know if you have a stance on it, but how do you feel about somebody having their website and kind of their presentation under an alias instead of just using their name?
So I think...
Especially like if they don't have a company behind it. Well, I guess he is selling sound libraries.
Yeah, Tony, settle down. Yeah, I think the company thing works if you're specifically looking to freelance. I think the idea of a brand is not so unusual. I mean, like we do that. I mean, mind you, we're also like an incorporated studio with 5 members.
Right.
There is things like we had like Bearded Noise was on recently, the one that pops to mind. And it popped to mind, so I mean, there you go. That's a good sign.
Yeah.
You know, it's Ricardo Barotto, but it had this really strong like beard, like wave kind of like waveform.
Oh yeah, I remember
beard
that.
thing.
That was a very cool logo.
It's super cool. It had like this sick intro too. I recall. Recall this? Let's watch the intro again. We're doing it. Here it is. So sick. So like it's clearly he's put some time into this brand. So the idea of of like a strong brand, I think, is really strong here. Really positive. Like Submerged Tapes, I think if you're leaning into the brand really hard, it can be positive too. I don't have the AAA perspective that you might have, Stephen. So I think, I mean, I have heard from others, mind you, that if you are an individual applying to like, I don't know, like Bethesda or something, and you had a brand as opposed to a name, that might be like mixed signals a bit.
Yeah, I think it probably depends on what you're trying to do, right? Because I guess we have to put it in context. If you're trying to be a freelancer and to contract out to different studios, then it probably behooves you to have a brand. But if you're trying to get hired in-house somewhere, then I think it does send kind of mixed messages.
Right,
and I'd rather just know your name.
Yes, sure. There you go. It's like the whole impression thing too. I think just having multiple impressions of a name might be really positive. If for example we hear Submerged Tapes like 3 times, and then you go to GDC Jake and meet Steven in person, and it's like Jake Gaule on your name tag, that might not have like it's this guy I've seen like 4 or 5 times. It might just be like a reset at that point. So. Yeah, I mean, if you're looking to freelance specifically, there's plenty of artists, like Disaster Piece. His name's Rich Freeland, but most people know Disaster Piece. Or like Big Giant Circles is Jimmy Henson. Like there's a lot of people in the indie space that have like dug in deep on the idea of having an alias. Like even Lena Rain is like Karain. Karain is her handle, and that's also really, really well known. So it's really up to you, man. I mean, I think that whatever you choose, just commit hard to it, you know? Just say, I'm Submerged Tapes, period, and like go in hard on the branding and such.
Yeah, and I think part of that is probably your website. Like if you're going to go in hard with the branding, I almost feel like your website has to look nicer than if you were just using your name.
Mm-hmm. I mean, even, you know what, even the front video here says like Submerged Tapes, but it says like from Jake Gaule right underneath that. So it's both names again. Yeah. Okay, well, let's go ahead and go full screen here and make sure I'm not affecting anything. Okay, so I guess I'll mute myself and we'll have a listen here, okay? So 3, 2, 1, and...
I'm back. Sorry to ruin your groove, but it's time for the news here on Davy's Luxury Radio Station. A little bird tells me that we have some newcomers to the islands who landed over by the airplane graveyard. Welcome!
All right. Jake says fair. Hadn't considered that. Are you talking about oh, perhaps this is the Wix thing? Josh said, you make some great portfolio websites on Wix, so some time put into it. I think it's the cheapest solution when it allows great customizability. And, oh yeah, I must be talking about the whole, the submerged tapes versus Jake thing. Okay, cool. Well, claps, man. Thank you. I guess before we dive into the nuance and details, Stephen, do you have any just sort of like a couple sentences first impression?
I like the length. And, but I think the material could be rearranged a little bit.
Okay. All right.
It's not too long, but it kind of loses steam.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with that. Okay, so I guess the first thing just being presentation lengthwise, it's 1:07. It's pretty healthy, like you said. I didn't feel like I was being held hostage to watch your thing, and I didn't feel like I needed to skip either. I mean, I kind of felt like, okay, get on with it a little bit about halfway through the Hollow Knight stuff. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, I was keen to keep watching. It wasn't like mind-blowing stuff. Of course, it's like a Unity, sound redesign thing and like a game jam thing. It's not really meant to be, like knock your socks off kind of content. But yeah, because just the pacing, I didn't feel like I was okay with watching the whole thing. So, okay, so I guess just some really quick first things. Submerged tapes, there it is. So I think that you've got. I mean, like this is not a design stream at all. Like I'm not like the gospel when it comes to like design feedback, but I think Steven's note on your branding maybe being worthy of a little more investment is I think a good one. Like just the idea of like there being, like 3 separate fonts here and kind of like the fidelity of the artwork is like different from thing to thing. It might be worth.
Also,
go ahead, yeah.
Just want to point out really fast. Your name is Submerged Tapes. In your logo on the website, the tape is not submerged. But in the logo on your reel, the tape is submerged.
Whoa. I didn't
I
see
just
that.
noticed that.
I didn't see that at all. Let's see this now. Okay, it's not submerged. Okay, so it's just moving in. There he goes. So in this up top versus in the reel. Okay. Does it need to be like fully immersed in water to be submerged, or can it just be?
I think partially counts.
Okay, partial submersion. Okay, got it.
I mean, like you said, we're not a visual design.
Yeah. Like for Power Up, I mean, our first logo, my brother did it. Like we just because we had no budget of any kind, and we're just like bootstrapping the whole thing. And my brother was like, I can whip something up, and we got something that we were like pretty happy with for the time. And it was, I mean, also like my brother Colin is like not a graphic designer by trade, but he's kind of a enthusiast in like a lot of different disciplines, and he like threw it together, and we were pretty happy with it. But after some time, we're like, you know what? I think we've outgrown this thing, and it's time for a change. And yeah, and it was certainly a process to go through the whole thing and like find something we were like really happy with. But in the end, I mean, yeah, I don't see us changing our logo anytime soon. We're really stuck with it. So yeah, it's definitely worth some investment, I think, Jake, as far as just finding, someone who's even in the same position that you are in their respective career, who is looking to do, design stuff. Okay, so moving on from there. Sorry, is it design too? I didn't hear it. It is. Yes, cool. Into the first.
Yeah, so
bits.
I like that there's sound on the logo.
We got the League of Legends thing. This comes up often, Jake,
Yeah.
just the lower third thing being so low. It's kind of, if I pause the video, it's just, stomping on stuff all around it. Like the UI stomping on your lower thirds, just bring it up just a touch to like here instead. Being called a lower third because it exists at the lower third of the screen. Yeah. Okay, and moving on really quick. I guess flow-wise. So you mentioned order of stuff. That's kind of in a material selection, but I think it's presentation as well. Do you have any first thoughts on that?
Yeah. I always think you should put your best up first, like in order of what you think sounds best. And I have a feeling, well, no, I guess the first one's a sound redesign. I think sometimes people tend to put games that they've worked on first. And sometimes their redesigns might sound better or be more appropriate, but they're like, oh, it's just a redesign. It's not a real game I worked on, or it wasn't a real game jam thing. But I really, when I'm just evaluating a reel for sound design quality, I don't really care if it's a redesign or an original game. I just want to know what, like, hit me with your best stuff. And I would argue that the Hollow Knight clip, to me, sounds better than some of this middle stuff, like the one with the boat that was just mostly voiceover,
Right.
And very little actual sound design stuff going on. So I wouldn't put Hollow Knight after that.
Yeah, I think that it's really important to consider, Jake, how many people there are to choose from who are doing audio out there, and with that, how many have applied to the gig, you know? And if that person, if it's someone like me at a third-party house, or someone like Steven and like his cohorts at NetherRealm, like a larger studio, or an indie developer or whatever, they might be looking through just, you know, tens, dozens, if not hundreds of applicants. And it's really important to grip someone in the first 10 seconds. So put your absolute best stuff in the first 10 seconds. I agree that the Hollow Knight stuff is kind of the most striking. I think just simply because of the nature of the content, too. There's a lot going on.
Right.
There's a lot to work with. Whereas in the boat thing, there's not much action. Same thing with the platformer. And the League of Legends is a classic single action.
In a perfect world, I don't think the visuals should influence your audience much, but they definitely do. So if you can present the most complete package, like the thing that looks good and sounds good, you're going to want to put that up front. And I don't know if we're into the material selection phase.
Oh, we can jump around,
but
sure.
having the League of Legends thing up front, if you've watched some of the VODs of this stream, or you kind of hear what we've spoken about before, a lot of people put League of Legends sound tests in their reel. And if you want to stand out from all those other people, you should probably pick something else.
Yeah, it's so Jake, without having ever spoken to you before and without ever having seen this reel before, my assumption is that this sound redesign was done as part of the application process to Riot Games. Am I correct in that assessment? If I'm not, then please let me know. But this definitely resembles, like Steven says, like a lot of Riot Games tests that we've seen before. And even if this wasn't a test, what this has like a psychological kind of like undercurrent of, okay, well, they applied for the job and they didn't get it, so I guess this wasn't good sound design. That's kind of like, even regardless of the content, you kind of have this reaction. Oh, Dale called it was for blip sounds. Okay, sure. So Ryan and friends had you, put you up to it. Fair enough. Well, just be aware that's also this, like the single clip that's kind of like Riot's MO as far as how they test incoming applicants. And yeah, just to kind of expand upon what Steven said, I think that, he was saying that the visuals shouldn't affect people in a perfect world, but I think at the end of the day, the Hollow Knight clip just sounds more like a complete game. So for someone coming in, and indie developers especially, don't often have the kind of vernacular or the like the deep understanding of like what to listen for in audio and like what defines good audio. They just listen and go like, okay, yeah, that sounds like a full game to me. And that's kind of where it stops oftentimes. So when you have something like the Riot clip up front, it's not really serving that end. And the same goes for the other two clips too. The Hollow Knight is absolutely doing that. I think he did a pretty good job at it too. Okay, so I guess the last thing, yeah, it's fine. So the order thing, we talked about that. So the Hollow Knight first. How do you feel about the other three clips in general as being included at all, Steven?
Well, I think if it were me, I would get rid of Airplane Graveyard. Because if it's a sound design reel, there's just really not much sound design happening there.
Yeah, the vocal processing thing comes up occasionally. Like sometimes we'll see like, hey, here's an awesome like robot AI voice thing I did, and it's just like super kick ass, and it's like, you know what, this is interesting, and good on you for doing it, and I'm pumped that you've shown me this thing. But in this case, it's a pretty classic, like it's through a radio or through a phone, so it's not like that interesting for the sound design aspect of the voice work. So yeah, it's tricky because I like that you were at a game jam. That's cool because it shows you're out in the community and doing stuff.
Right. Well, I know he has another page, like we saw on that sound design page. There are other things on that page that don't exist in this reel. So maybe he could put it up there as a separate standalone clip.
Sure. Yeah, I'm down with that. And you know, Jake, I do like how you have these other clips on here that perhaps you didn't feel fit into your main reel. For example, like this linear content and this short film stuff. I really like that you've kind of shown, hey, look, I'm doing stuff, but you're here for the game stuff, and so I'll give you that first, and you can look at the film stuff if you want to. Kind of don't hold your viewer hostage. That was an apt choice, I think. Yeah, I want to bring up something else too. Is that so in your about page? It seems like you are, just from what I've kind of gleaned from reading this. Okay, here it is. I'm currently freelance and looking to work on more exciting indie game projects. So if that is true, then I would argue that this Riot Games piece might not be the best method of communicating that. So
yeah, I agree.
Imagine that someone has not read your about page and is like, okay, let's see this stuff. Is it good? Period. And if it's not, they'll just close the page. They won't go on to that, or they may even see Riot and be like, oh, he's looking to work in AAA, and just think that you aren't a good fit just from that alone. And they wouldn't, perhaps they'd be too quick to judge, but I can imagine that being a reaction if they were to watch it. Again, if you're looking to work with indie stuff, I mean, the indie scene tends to be pretty insular, and indie developers know indie games pretty well. And it's not often that you'll have an indie developer who's like, I want to make a game like Injustice 2. That's not very, It's not very common. It's more like, I love this game, like, I love like colorful and like charming and like kind games, or I like this like brutal game like Hotline Miami, or like a brutal game like Mother Russia Bleeds, or like whatever, right? They have this idea of something that is like approachable for an indie developer. So to have that in the first clip, like a redesign of something in the indie space, is going to just speak to them and right away be like, hey, listen, we're at least speaking the same language. And that's, the indie space is absolutely all about just relationships. So being able to just make an impression that way is I think I can't overstate the importance of that.
Yeah, I definitely think your viewers should know what you're aiming for just by your content selection alone in your reel. And having the League of Legends up front is if you're trying to do more indie game work, I don't think that's helping you.
Okay, so how are we doing for criteria stuff? So material selection. So I often ask whoever's joining me, like, what do you think they want to be doing? You said very plainly in your about that you want to do indie game stuff. So yeah, I think this reel is not quite being clear just from having watched it, like what you want to be doing. So perhaps just for your next project, consider some redesigns that are like really focused in kind of your target market for your freelance work.
Yeah, and there's so many cool things out there that you could do a sound redesign to. And we've seen the League of Legends thing so many times. We've actually seen Hollow Knight quite a bit.
Yeah, and it's like that fight
in
too.
A few other reels. Yeah.
For some reason, is that like the first fight in the game or something? I haven't played that game for a long time.
It is the first fight, I believe.
Oh, there you go. Perhaps just
the first boss fight.
Yeah, right. It seems to be like that's the fight that is redesigned. We saw it like last week or 2 weeks ago. I think it was 2 weeks ago. Yeah, it's funny. Okay, so the thing is too with the indie scene, there's a lot of indie games that kind of regrettably don't sound that great because the person just didn't work with somebody. They just did it themselves, and bless them, they did their best, and it's okay, but it's not the strong suit. For example, we saw Salt and Sanctuary, and I mean James and Michelle at Ska Studios will be the first to tell you like that game sounds fine, and I think they're pretty proud of what they did, but they're not sound designers first and foremost. So we had, and I'm forgetting who it was now. Was it Nano? I can't recall. Who redesigned Salt and Sanctuary, and that was a very apt choice because it's a bit of a white canvas. There's no like preconceived notions of what that game sounds like for the most part. Okay, great. So, want to move into content quality? You were talking about kind of some things that stood out to you as far as good and bad. So, let's start with the League of Legends, perhaps. Do you have any thoughts here?
Yeah, I think the League of Legends stuff actually sounds okay. You could do a little punchy sound design, but that's not really the League of Legends style. It kind of fits within the League style. But again, I'm thinking like overall, if this isn't the kind of space you want to be working in, it doesn't help too much. And then it's really, to me, contrasted by this next piece, the microgame platformer, which sounds really empty.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like every action that this little man takes,
I'm back. Sorry to
I can almost like hear the sound it should make, and it's the exact same thing that I expected.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess this is like is it a demo thing? Micro game platformer. I'm not even sure what this is actually. It says sound redesign and implementation. So is this like an existing, yeah, Jake, just let me know in the chat. Like, is this an existing like downloadable demo you can kind of like educate yourself from or something? It's a Unity demo. Okay, cool. So yeah, that might be worth even putting like Unity demo on here instead of just Unity. Because, yeah, I was kind of making some assumptions here, and it says C#, so I guess you just done some coding there as well, which is cool to show.
Yeah, that's nice.
It's a bit of a tricky thing. It's like when I don't know about Steven, but when I see things like I did the implementation in like the Cube demo in Wise, I've seen the Cube demo like 50 times, and I think one time I was like, that sounds pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a hard game to make sound good, just with the demo. And the thing with that is that generally with like implementation and with coding, especially for somebody who appears to be at your level, I tend to approach it with a little more leniency because it's showing that like you're putting the time in to learn these tools and and move forward in the effort of like self-improvement and everything. And that looks very good from the perspective of an employer. I think especially from the perspective of a studio employer, because you would be being hired on as like a junior role, and the idea that you will continue to self-improve and you'll be a good investment for the studio is, it's a positive thing.
Yeah, and it might, I don't know what your thoughts are, Kevin, but it might be even more valuable to like an indie studio if they know you can not only design sounds, but you can implement them, script them, code, even do some maybe light audio code work. Like, I think you're more likely to get involved with that in a smaller studio than you are like at a big AAA studio where people are a little more specialized.
Mm-hmm. No, totally. I mean, we've had many clients with Power Up where the team is like 10 people or less, very commonly. And I mean, or it's just one person doing the whole game. And in those cases, when we're able to say, hey, like, even the first Darkest Dungeon, like we had maybe 6 or 7 people working on it at the time, and we just did some stuff, not even code, just in Fmod, and just hooked up some cool stuff that didn't require their support. And in the morning said, hey, go check out this boss fight. We did some cool stuff there. And they could just hop in there and be like, oh, yeah, sweet, sounds great. And it's no work for them, right? So it is definitely it's very palatable for them to have less work to do because there's already so much on the to-do list. So yeah, it's a very good look. It's now on you to show those skills like the C# and the implementation and coding and scripting and so forth, but hopefully also have something that, like we were saying before, sounds a bit more like a full game. Like this is what a full game sounds like to me, because if someone's making their indie dream project, they probably don't hear something as empty as this, like the word that Steven used. It's very empty, so it isn't really selling you in that respect.
Yeah, and also the terminology is still a little confusing to me because when I think of sound redesign, I usually think of people taking like a trailer or a piece of gameplay, a linear piece of media, and then just doing the sound design to it, not necessarily in an engine. But this says sound redesign and implementation. So I guess, like you said, it's like a Unity demo. He made the sounds, put them in the engine, and then this is a capture of the game running.
Yeah.
But typically we don't see those two kind of labels together.
Yeah, the I feel like I've seen that maybe once or twice before. It's the concept I usually assume, or I guess my assumption usually is that the demo came with sound, and then they like redesigned the sounds. But then also that would imply to me that there already was code too.
Right.
So yeah, it's definitely, this is the kind of thing, Jake, that might be worth having a little more information on. Like if you did want to put this on your second page, if it's not already there, is it there? I didn't see it. It's not already there. So yeah, a little more information about this as far as like what you actually did, I think would be really positive, especially for things where they are in the effort of self-improvement and self-education. I mean, literally everyone in game dev has like Google searched a problem they're having. Just I did today, and everyone's always learning all the time. So being able to share like what you learned just can be a good look, and also helpful for others too. Okay. So I guess the next thing, there's not a whole lot to talk about. You might want to remove the airplane graveyard.
Little bird tells me that we have some newcomers to the islands who
There's not a whole lot to
over by the airplane graveyard.
like adjudicate here.
Welcome.
I don't know if there's like anything else in this demo you could or in the Game Jam game you could show, Jake. But yeah, it's a bit of a challenge because again, I like that you're doing Game Jam stuff. That's great, but there's just not much in terms of sound design to show in a sound design reel. Jake is saying that's fair. There already was the majority of the code there. I had edited some of the footstep code. Do you think it would be better to cut it from my reel but leave it up as a longer piece? I mean, you got the blog here, I mean, it might be worth having. Here's this thing I did. We had, what's the guy? I sent it to you, Steven, the guy who did the redesign on Mortal Kombat. Aaron?
Oh,
Aaron
yeah,
Bowers?
yeah. He wrote the whole long article about that.
Yeah, so like Aaron Bowers did this whole article on, it was Aaron Bowers, right? Am I just making this up? I think it was.
That sounds familiar. That sounds correct.
If I search Aaron Bowers Mortal Kombat, Death by Frosty on Medium. So like here you go. This is a crazy long piece that Aaron did. Like look at this scroll bar. This is tiny. It's like very long, and he just went through everything in detail, like his whole thought process, what he did, what the results were, if anything didn't. Oh, there's your video there. What like any problems he encountered and like how he solved them. It's all there, and this just shows he's being very mindful of the craft, So having, and Alex too, of course, like classic tweet, they got like 9,000 likes. It can't possibly hurt, man. I mean, even just an exercise for yourself to kind of go through it again and be like, okay, what was achieved by doing this whole process. That can be a good kind of retrospect for yourself too. Okay, so I guess moving on to Hollow Knight. So lots to talk about here, I think, compared to the previous pieces. So have at her, Steven.
Yeah, so I think it's always a little bit risky when you do a sound design or re-sound design. You have to walk a line of what did the original sound like and what do you want your version to sound like. And I found with a lot of people beginning out there is their sound redesigns often sound very much like the original game. Mm-hmm. And I actually love this game. So I'm super familiar with the audio of Hollow Knight. I sunk a lot of hours into this game.
Sure.
And so I know like that massive duck that happens when you take some damage, like that's what the game does. Mm-hmm. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to do that in your sound redesign. you could do something different. Or, you know, like I'm very familiar with the sounds of the nail swipe and the way the bugs talk. Like those are kind of like iconic to this game, and you do similar things. So in a way, I guess it shows you've created like a competent piece that sounds pretty good, but it's not great for creativity. Because to me, I just hear like a sound-alike version of Hollow Knight.
Yeah, it's certainly possible that some dev team might come to you, Jake, and say, hey, I'm working on a Metroidvania, and I love Hollow Knight, and we love what Christopher Larkin did with like the sound and the music. Can you do that? And in this case, you might say, yeah, I can do that. Like, here's the thing I did. But yeah, like Steven's saying, it's a very specific thing you're showing. And whereas being just blanket creative, period, and bringing something new to the table, it has a lot of like additional positive effects that shows you can bring like new ideas to the table as opposed to just saying I can do this again, right? So yeah, I've certainly played less Hollow Knight than Steven has. It sounds like. But I've seen this redesign probably 3 times now, I think, like of this boss fight, and they are now entering the realm of blurring together. Like they all have this similar kind of like decisive hitting sound to it, and the booming of the big boss, and so forth.
I think all of them that I've heard that have also been on here have also mimicked the giant ducking effect when you take damage.
I think it's very valuable to try to reproduce things like this, Jake. I mean, I don't know about you, Steven, but it's certainly something I've done here and there over the course of the last 10 years of my career. I'd like try and reproduce something, just even like record it out and look at the spectrogram and be like, what is in this sound? Like, how'd they get that kind of like that really like beefy hit after this huge build? Like, how they still make it sound massive, that kind of thing. And it can go a long way to like reverse engineer things and see how they did that, right? I mean, even recently, I was like,
do that every day.
I was just it's not important to say why, but I was just reverse engineering like the sound of the cave in Aladdin, you know, like the diamond in the rough. That whole line. Yeah. It's like, like how did they do this voice? And I was like,
diamond in the rough, diamond in the rough.
Very nice. All right, one of these for Steven. Yeah, so it's certainly super, super useful to do that kind of thing. But just bear in mind that for a reel, it's showing like one specific skill that you can take something and like reproduce it. It's not showing that you can bring more to it.
Yeah, and just to go back, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. It would be more impressive if you had showed like 3 or 4 different indie games and you were emulating the style of each one and nailing each one, because then it would be like, wow, this guy can like do this style. He can nail this. He can nail this. He can nail that. And I could see how that would be really appealing to a developer, especially if they were fans of those games in the first place.
It's really common in music. Just, hey, I can do reggae. Hey, I can do electronica. Hey, I can do whatever, right?
Yeah, because I don't think necessarily like as someone who's starting out as a sound designer, I'm not going to be like, well, you don't have your own signature sound. Like, no. I mean,
yeah, sure. Why not?
They're in the beginning of their career.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess all that aside, do you have any thoughts on like the actual design in the piece as opposed to sort of like the heady, just umbrella statement?
Yeah, I'm going to watch it a little again.
Sure.
I mean, I think it sounds really nice as a whole piece. I like that you've thought about the space, that you've added reverb on your effects, because we're in this massive underground canyon kind of thing. The movement sounds nice. I like when the big guy lands. Like, it's a really nice, satisfying land sound. The nail hits sound good. They sound, very similar to the game. So it all works for me.
welcome.
There's not a lot to nitpick, I don't think, other than the fact that it's like, I've seen this before, and I might forget it in a couple weeks.
Oh, yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, it's I mean, that's kind of skipping ahead to the distinction thing as far as standing out. And, yeah, having something, like, really out there, even if it's, like, not at all with the original, and it's maybe not even, like, appropriate, because the thing is, with redesigns, you often have this, like, preconceived notion of what the content should sound like. With Hollow Knight, like Stephen was saying, put 100 hours into the game and you have an idea what it's going to sound like, right?
Yeah.
So, or 100 plus, likely. But like with, like lost my train of thought now, man. Where was I going with this? I'll come back to it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, distinction. Right. So, as far as like standing out from a crowd, being able to bring something totally crazy to the table, even if it's not what they might do, can still stand out in a positive way, to showing that you're doing something totally different, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I do want to look at some of his like other content too on the next page.
Yeah, let's check out the sound design page.
Even beneath this, so on the main page we got we got Airplane Graveyard. We saw that. I'm curious to watch more of this actually. So is there more than just the voice thing? Oh, it's like downloadable, so we could play it ourselves. Of course, it's Global Game Jam. Great. Okay. Move on from that one. Let's go over to Baby Chimp Rescue TV miniseries. Foley editor. This is a direct link to the BBC page. Okay. And then we got Windows short film, sound design mix, also a link to YouTube. And we got Orb's Journey Home. This is a submerged tapes page. Run game. Oh, let's go. Okay. Short puzzle game made with Bitsy about an orb. It's Journey Home and cats. I'm zooming in a lot. Let's go. We play games on this stream so rarely. It's nice. Oh, can I play here? What? Can I not?
Yeah, I'm playing.
You're playing?
Yeah, use the hit spacebar, and then use the directional arrows.
I am. I'm using them. Wasn't it working? It's not working, man.
It doesn't appear to be sound effects, just some music.
Well, I can't even. Oh, I was pressing left the entire time. I thought it was the guy. Okay, there we go. Let's go. Welcome, traveler. It's good to see you. We have been waiting for your return home. Okay. Are we speedrunning?
Yeah, I'm ahead.
I'm an obelisk. Okay. It's just music. Okay, cool. So, still valuable, still cool. So you're saying sound design and music, Jake. I haven't really asked you. Do you want to be doing both those things for games? Because it seems like your main reel is pretty heavy on the sound design. What? Okay. Well, okay. How long is this game? It's the first time I've seen one for a long time. Okay. Oh man, you can go faster if you spam rather than like holding the button. Okay, well.
There's your strat right there.
Strats. Well, that's it. Okay, I'm done here. Great. Orb's Journey. Thanks, man. We got Earth's Tropical Islands. Void EP. More music. So you have the Bandcamp linked. Ideally, yep, still working on getting the music reel together. Okay, so you do want to work on sound design and music. Cool. I mean, well, Hollow Knight, there you go. That was all Christopher Larkin. There's one guy. Okay, so sound design page. So yeah, Windows short film. Hollow Knight. Is this the entire clip? I think it's the same clip we just watched. Yeah, it seems to be. That's a consideration there, Jake. When you have the additional sound design page, I would encourage you to consider what your visitor is doing, like what their kind of like path through your page has looked like, has resembled. And so, for example, if it was me, let's say I was on your main page and I watched your reel and I was like, holy crap, this is great. And I go on, I say, you know what, I want to see more of this guy's work. And I go to sound design and I see a Hollow Knight here. This represents something I've already seen. So generally, you would have like a long form version of the thing that's in your reel. So for example, you have the Graveyard Airplane, is that what it's called? You have the game to be downloaded there, which is cool. That's a great example of it. It's like, hey, what's this game? I want to play it. Here's the link. Occasionally we'll see like a 12 seconds of an Overwatch redesign or something, and then you go to the sound design page, and it's like the full minute and a half, and they did the whole trailer. With this clip, it's like the text below says, short sound redesign of the boss battle with the False Knight from Team Cherry's Hollow Knight. Yes, so we already know that too. It's not really giving us anything new, so perhaps something to consider there.
Also, just another website comment. That text is really small.
Yeah, I'm zoomed 200% right now, so
And
100%.
yeah,
looks like
without
this.
zooming, it's kind of easy to miss and hard to read.
Yeah, it's very, very small. I've been just zoomed so hard I didn't even consider that. Thank you. Okay, so do you want to watch any of these, Steven?
Yeah, let's check out. Okay, linear showreel. How long is that?
48 seconds.
Let's watch the linear showreel, and then let's watch some of these rescore redesign things.
Okay, all right, I'm going to make sure I'm all cranked up, and I am. All right, 3, 2, 1, and... Oh, this is nice blip sounds too. Classic blip sounds.
No.
It's gone, Kim.
No, I'm so sorry. It was an accident. I'm so sorry.
Okay, all right, we're back. All right, so the first clip was kind of abstract, surreal stuff. Second clip was blip sound contest, I believe. I've seen this before, like a week ago or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I remember seeing that as well.
Yeah.
Doesn't he roar really big? Is that part missing from the clip?
Play it again.
If I remember correctly. Oh wait, no, I think that is his big roar.
Yeah, I think that
That's
the
happening right
other
now,
person that did it just like chose to go like a much larger direction with that
Yeah.
than this one here. And the last clip
I
is...
believe that's from the film that's up above the window.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Oh, a sound effect contest, not blip sounds. I am mistaken. I apologize. Trying to seem like I'm in the know here. I'm not. Okay, so a sound effect contest, sound design contest again. I guess that's also worth talking about, Steven. Like, how do you feel about having contest entries on Reels?
I mean, it's okay. In a ideal world, I would love just to see, if you're gonna just do like a punchy short thing that's showing off some sound design, I think it would be more beneficial to pick like a more unique redesign thing, because the nature of these contests is that, like, if I've read the article from like Pro Sound Effect or a Sound Effect or whatever, and I've seen the other entries, I've already seen this clip a bunch. And unless you're the winner, I've also seen some like really good versions of this clip. And so I'm immediately, my brain is just like goes into comparison mode.
Right.
And so I'm just analyzing like, oh, I've heard this before, I've seen this before, and it doesn't help you stand out from the pack.
Yeah, it's comparison mode, and furthermore, it just like you said previously, you hear like the same thing repeatedly, and you just forget it as a result. It's just fully. It's not that you're not standing out. It's that you just are forgotten. Period. Along with everyone else who's done the same thing. The worst offender in my experience, at least, being the Waves Need for Speed Shift redesign, where it's like the crashing car and the camera flying through the debris, and it's like, and every single person does the exact same granular thing, and it's like, it's cool every time. It's like, yeah, it sounds great. It's a cool exercise in like abstract design, but I can't remember one of them as far as what it sounds like.
And there's so much cool visual media out there that you could do, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be from games. It could be like a really cool animation of a GIF or something, or like a fluid simulation video. Like, there's a lot of cool things that you could do and apply sound design in a creative way.
Yeah, there was when did I see this? It was years and years ago, I think. There was someone made a short film. I think it was somebody in sound, actually, like working with somebody in like After Effects, like visual stuff. And it was, all it was if you can picture, just the video pane was the like Adobe After Effects icon, and then they just applied effects to the icon in the background over, they just like automate the effect, some keyframing, and so it's like blurs, like, and it sort of blurs over time, and then they go back to normal, and it's like, and noise, and it's like, it's all noisy, or it's like smeared, and it smears across the page, and it goes through like 40 of these effects just over and over and over again. And so, I mean, it's this extremely abstract design. It's like, what's the sound of blurring, And yes, they just designed that over and over and over again, and it's just, I mean, you got to be creative. It's like, let's do 40 different effects on this stuff and try and make them all interesting, interesting and appropriate. So yes, plenty of options out there for sure. Okay, so I want to watch this sound design contest, a sound effect right below that one. So let's go 3, 2, 1, and. Was that quiet, or was that just me?
Nice, short and sweet.
Okay, cool. I thought it was quiet. I was checking my faders and stuff, make sure nothing dropped down. Yeah, cool though. Nice.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to dig a bit more into the sound design, like of this one, I see this a lot from kind of like people who are more beginners starting out. I noticed, so you've got this nice, cool little sound as this orb is, moving up through the screen, and then it goes off screen, and your sound leaves with it. Like, just because the visual is gone doesn't mean the audio has to also go away. Like, there's a great, especially because this is a little more abstract, there would be a great opportunity for you to build a new sound that leads into this next big thing, because it goes to black, and then we've got this cool like blue circle appearing, and silence is, yes, a powerful tool, but there's kind of too much of it.
Yeah, it just ends up being just expected again.
Yeah.
It's just it's the same thing as again, for people that kind of at your level ish, we'll see redesigns of some AAA trailer, and really frequently it's designing what's like right in the middle of the screen and nothing else. Like, even things like visible at left or at right, it just isn't there in the mix. And then you see sound redesigns where it's like you're hearing stuff, there's like a fight happening off screen, and they just designed the whole thing. You're like, hell yeah, like this person is definitely thinking from a storytelling perspective.
Right.
So like, what's the story of this thing on this
like,
sound effect sound design competition?
And I kind of think it's important for you to come up with your own stories. Like, obviously, there is no story of this thing, but it can really help your creative process if you think about it and you come up with one personally. Like, what is this? I don't know. Is this like an energy jellyfish, maybe? And then it explodes into 1,000 suns? Like, whatever. Like, make some sort of narrative, and that'll help you shape your sounds and kind of give you a direction to shoot for. Like, when I watch this, I see it float up. I hear some like cool sounds in a moment to do a awesome charge up, and then it comes back and then it punches in huge and then it explodes. But I don't quite get that from the audio of what I hear. And it can also help, like creating a story can help you think about what kind of sounds you want to make. Like, do you want it to be more synthetic? Do you want it to be more organic? Like, if it is a jellyfish, maybe you could start by processing some cool underwater sounds and then mangling them and seeing what you get. And, or if it is like a cosmic sun thing, like, I don't know, start with some weird synth hard light sounds or some fire and mangle that and mess with some explosions. Like,
Yeah, I was considering even like, is the second part the same, I guess for lack of a better word, character as the first part? Like, are they is this jellyfish thing going past and then coming back, or is it like escaping something? Like, is there a danger it's running from? Like, it sounds kind of silly to like put so much like personification into this little like animation stuff, but it's a huge creative tool to know. Yeah, like what's the vibe of this thing? If it's like a classic, like if this is a logo, for example, just imagine like a name appearing, like Submerged Tapes appears with this end bit. Even then, I would argue there's still a story to be told if it's just like some fancy graphics for the sake of fancy graphics.
right. I think it kind of ties into like training your ear and listening like critically. Because, you know, when you're doing sound design for something, whether it's a game or if it's a linear piece of media, if you're truly doing sound design, not just sound editing, but sound design, you need to be approaching it with conscious thought and with the reason that for everything you're doing. And ideally, it supports the narrative, it supports the story, or it helps flesh out a character. But you should have a reason in your head for everything you're doing, even if it's like, this guy's really cool and I want to make him sound really cool. It doesn't have to be a deep reason, but there should be a reason. It shouldn't just be like, this sound was cool and I thought it would fit here, and so I put it there. So I think always having that like conscious loop going in your head of like, why am I making this sound? Should it be big? Should it be small? Should it set up the next beat? Should it be its own beat? Like, that's part of sound design.
Okay, do you want to move into this this final one?
Yeah, let's do it.
Submerged Tapes, Space Debris, Quick Rescore / Redesign. Cranking the volume. All right, 3, 2, 1, and... Oh. All right. Okay. It's for a game from the Ray Wenderlich Unity course. Okay. Seems like a mean game. It's like appears and kills you instantly. All right. So this is a great example of something I'd love to hear more about, like what this is, because I'm just not sure entirely of like just a game from this course. I guess I can click this and find out more. All right, sure. So you did this course and there's a game in there. All right, sweet. Not a whole lot there to talk about, Stephen, but your thoughts?
Yeah, I think this is cool because this one actually has music and sound design in it. And if that's kind of if you're aiming to cover those two bases, I think it behooves you to have both of those in your example videos. I know you said you were working on doing a music reel. So right now you just have the sound design reel. And I guess this is still the sound design section. We haven't explored the music section yet. But
True.
anytime that you can cover both in a cohesive way, I think that helps.
Yeah, it's especially. I mean, we go back and forth on the should
Right,
you
no
show
sound design or
sound design
music,
and
yeah.
music together. We go back and forth all the time, but I think it really depends upon your target market. Like,
Yeah.
if you're looking to, I mean, Steven mentioned the earlier thing about like AAA large teams being highly specialized in who they hire. You have an audio team, and there's like a person doing like only the crowd sounds for FIFA and nothing else for like 3 years. It's like that's a real job that people have had, and it's very different than like Christopher Larkin in Hollow Knight. He's just like, just do it all. If you see it, do it. Done. And there's nobody else helping you, so just deal with it. So if you're truly looking to get in the indie space and you want to do both music and sound, there definitely is a market for you as far as people who want that. It's a bit of a unicorn thing, like finding people like Chris who did a pretty damn good job on Hollow Knight, or people like Jeff Van Dyke did this game Forts and also Assault Android Cactus. And he was audio director on Alien Isolation. Like he's been all around the industry. But he's also just like these weird unicorns who were super, super good at both music and sound and like the voice, everything. He just kills it. So if you can do it, you are hireable, my friend. Definitely. Do you want to jump into the music list these last 10 minutes? Just listen to something.
Yeah, sure. Let's check it out.
Okay. So songs from Real and Imagined. I guess.
Oh, you know what? Actually, I would look at too. I kind of wanted to see what the sound libraries were. So maybe we'll hit that after music.
Okay, sure. I guess just like the top thing, songs from Real and Imagined. Is this your Real? I'm imagining it is. It's called Airplane Graveyard though. Oh, okay, yeah.
I think that's the earlier.
It's
game.
an album. It's an album. There's like multiple tracks.
Oh.
All right, I see. So these are various things. Do you have a recommendation to listen to, Jake, as I browse your sound library stuff? If you have a recommendation, we can jump into that. Otherwise, yeah, I'm gonna control click all these things and have a look. Circuit bent toys. That sounds fun. And okay, great. $20. Alien and Imagine. The top thing, I guess. Okay, back to music. All right, top thing is Airplane Graveyard. All right, let's go. I was compressing everything by 5 dB just now. Sorry about that. Just realized for the whole piece, Jake. Sorry about that, man. pull this down a bit and open this back up with Steven. All right, so cute. I was playing it 5 dB squash the whole time by accident. Also, my mistake. But, all right, I'm gonna pause this so I can hear you again, and there you go. Okay. Yep. Cool. I guess the one thing that I will bring up that comes up occasionally on Real Talk is that when you have game jam, when you're leading with game jam stuff, it sometimes makes me wonder what you can accomplish when you're not faced with really challenging deadlines, like a 2-day game jam kind of thing, right? As opposed to, okay, you have 6 months to get the soundtrack done. So what's it sound like then instead, as opposed to just, very, very rapid development. Do you have any hot takes beyond that, Stephen?
No, I don't think so. I jumped around. I listened to the songs from, the Airplane Graveyard song, and then I kind of clicked a few of the other ones too. And my overall impression, I'm not sure exactly what your background is, Jake, but your music sounds a little more polished to me than your sound design. So I don't know if you have more experience with your music.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Or you've done it for longer.
Whenever we see sound design and music listed, it's almost always like, I'm a composer and sound designer. It's very often like all caps composer and like lowercase smaller font sound designer. So yeah, sound design and music. So I'm curious as well if it's what you're doing. I did a music undergrad degree.
Undergrad degree.
There you go. Yeah, cool. I mean, keep pushing.
Yeah,
both.
so I mean, if I were you, I would be keen to finish that music reel and get it up. Stand it up alongside your sound design reel.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to glance at this sound library stuff? So what are you looking for in a sound library, Stephen?
Me, I don't buy a lot of sound libraries, but when I do, I typically look for something either A, super creative, or B, something that I couldn't already cover myself. Like, I might not be able to go and record some crazy helicopters or something like that, but maybe I need some helicopters in a game, so I'm going to look for some that are really well recorded. Or like there was an library, I think it was Tomix Rex Beverly, who did these bowed cactuses, and that's like super creative and really cool, and they sounded awesome. So like those kind of libraries really stick out to me.
Mm-hmm. So in terms of like seeing a library on, let's say like an applicant's web page, like is there anything that stands out to you as far as? Like,
I mean, I think it's a really positive that he's creating his own libraries and he's putting them up here and he's selling them, and like that just shows me he's invested in recording and sound effects editing. He probably knows a thing or two about metadata and library management, and those are all good things. I'm not sure how relevant that would be to like an indie developer, but as another sound person looking at the website, I think it's a plus.
Yeah, that does come up occasionally on Real Talk too. We'll have people who are like really, really going in hard on like, I'm looking to work with indie developers and nobody else. Also, look at all these things for sound designers. And it's like, it's not, I don't think it's taking anything away from your page.
Right.
Yeah, I don't really have any like hard opinions on it,
focused.
honestly. Yeah, it's just that. It's just not as focused. I don't think it's like detrimental, maybe. I don't know. There's like
I don't think so either. To play another angle, if I was an indie developer and I came and I saw his site and I saw that he was doing these sound libraries, it might be like a very positive thing in my eyes, because I could be like, oh, he's active in his community. Like I might not know a ton about sound, but like I can see that he's producing libraries and selling stuff, and that would, give me a professional impression.
Sure. I'm inclined to agree. Good for you, Jake. Keep it up. Keep making stuff. Keep recording stuff. Always be recording. ABC. Recording with a capital C. Let's go. Last note then, I guess. We kind of touched upon this earlier, but this final thing down below here, just distinction. Do you think that in the current state of how Jake's presenting himself and his works online, do you think that Jake is standing out in a positive way?
Honestly, Jake, I think that you need to work on your site being more branded and memorable. Like, nothing on your site is aggressively bad. Like, from a design standpoint, I'm talking about like just the visual presentation. Like, there's no wrong links that we've encountered or broken content. Like, it all worked, but at the same time, it does feel very boilerplate and templatey. And I think you could help sell yourself by investing some time in working more on that like Submerged Tapes brand and really kind of polishing up the website, polishing up the presentation. And then I think, you would have a much better distinction, which would lead me and others to remember you and your brand.
Yeah, I do like this kind of scrolling past the images thing. I keep scrolling up and down. It's fun.
It's like a parallax effect.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I'm like looking through.
But
a window,
I will
kind of.
note that, like, for instance, on the main page, like, much of the boxes are parallaxed. But when you go to sound design, he's got kind of a similar layout where it's just content block, content block, content block. And because they're all Vimeo embeds, none of those parallax.
Yeah.
So it's not very consistent from a design standpoint. And you like the parallax personally, and this is just a personal opinion. I don't like it because I think it's kind of confusing.
So here's what I don't like though. I was zoomed in 200%, and with that, it becomes really focused as far as like I have a lot of image to look at. I see like this chimp and stuff, but I realize when I zoom out, it like obscures. All I see is a rock and a hand now. I don't see the chimp anymore.
Oh, you know what, though? I think that might be the way the website works, because if you zoom out and then refresh the page, the content block should still fill the whole page.
Nope.
Oh, they don't? Weird.
Still
For
the
me,
same
they
thing.
do.
I don't know. Weird. WordPress, man.
WordPress.
I guess. I don't know. Yeah, it's like a little bit. Perhaps it's an acquired taste. I don't know. It caught me off guard. I was like, oh, that's neat, but I don't know.
I've actually never seen parallax done like this. Usually it's like 100% width content block that has a parallax background.
Sure.
But not like a bunch of, like, you've got two blocks side by side and then one and then another two and then another one below that. And they all have that scrolling effect.
Yeah. So I guess just to give my final thoughts and distinction to Jake, I'm inclined to agree with Steven. I mean, as a guy who has been doing the freelance thing with the team, mind you, but of course, my co-founder Jeff Tangsock and myself started some 7-8 years ago, almost now, and yeah, we were forced just to like dig in deep on a brand, and it's a bit of like a fake it till you make it thing, because if your brand is really strong, it's almost like, oh, this person's like really serious about the work, and the work kind of is secondary at that point. And not like we had some experience in sound at that point. So yes, there's also some work to do in terms of like, best effectively communicating your craft and what you bring to the table, as well as just simply working on your craft and getting better at sound design and more, showing more skill sets, like you said, implementation and so forth. Just show more of that and put the work in. And like, I would love to see your work in like 6 months. I would love to see it.
Yeah, me too. And I would love for you to work on some redesigns and some more unique material. And because I think from stuff I hear, like in that a sound effect redesign with we talked about the jellyfish or whatever. It's not really jellyfish, but
right, the jellyfish.
There was some real potential there. And I think if you just kept at it, listen to styles and things you like, figure out how to emulate them like you have done in Hollow Knight. So I know you can do that. And then just like practice those sound design chops a little more.
All right.
And hit us with some new material.
Hit us up, man, please.
No more League of Legends.
That's That's your takeaway. Just no more of that. No more. Okay. Well, thanks, Jake. Thanks,
Yeah,
man.
thank you. Thanks for coming on. I know it takes, it takes some bravery to put yourself out there and to show your site and have a bunch of people critique it and a bunch of random people on the internet look at it and hear your critique. So kudos to you for applying.
Absolutely. And again, I want to stress that for anybody submitting to Real Talk, you are not putting the work in for the stream. You're putting the work in for you.
Totally.
And when I say I'd love to see a V2, that's like incidental to all the benefits there are in doing like 6 months more of like hard work. I'm selfishly saying I would love to see it at that point, but the simple fact is 6 months of hard work is likely to show results when you're already, we already have like a solid foundation going for you. So good on you. Okay, well, thank you everyone for hanging out. And if anyone else would like to submit, feel free to do so down below at Power Up Audio or at RegMK. That's my handle. And if you're not on Twitter, you can do it via our contact inquiry form at powerupaudio.com. We just had a couple come in today, actually, so got to schedule those in. And Thank you again, Stephen, for taking the time out of your busy schedule.
Yeah, no problem.
I know you've been watching for a while,
Thanks
so
for
it's
having
very
me
cool
on.
to finally have you on. Exactly. I guess if you have anything else to let people know about, like to push of your own stuff, your own projects, or your like NetherRealm stuff or anything, the floor is yours. Go for it.
Oh no, we're in secret development mode now. So we did just come out with our latest Mortal Kombat 11 Aftermath. It's the DLC update. So if you're into fighting games, check that out. Or if you're into big, gross sound design, heavy impacts, check that out too.
Here's the Meet Shiva trailer right here. Is this you?
Shiva was done by another one of our sound designers named Matt Swanson. He took the lead on that character.
Oh, so RoboCop versus Terminator, by the way.
Yeah.
I saw this come on. I was like, what is happening here? Incredible. So
It's craziness.
am I able to ask you about that?
Sure.
Like, I guess it's nuts to me this exists at all. I guess is the main thing. So were you involved in the sound content for that?
I was, yeah. I did the sound for Terminator. And then another one of our great sound designers, Eric Wiedemeyer, he took the lead on the sound for RoboCop.
Damn. Did you ever imagine you'd be doing sounds for the Terminator?
No, it was crazy. It's always interesting working on licensed characters because it's, or any franchise that's licensed, like if you're working on a Star Wars or something like that, because you then have to deal with an established sound and franchise and a licensee or, a license holder that also has to agree and like the things that you do. So there's always an added challenge there.
Right. This is great, man. I'm listening at like 5%
funny,
volume.
to see these like 80s action heroes duke it out.
Yeah, it's such a funny thing. Like it's a crossover that, I don't know. I'm not like huge into the fighting scene, but I mean, I certainly, when I saw the trailer come out, I was like, I did not at all see this coming as far as the thing that would be in Mortal Kombat. So pretty sick.
It's crazy now too because we're so close to the uncanny valley, and all these games have this like facial scanning tech, and I don't actually know how these faces were created. I don't know if they were scanned from the actors or other data or what, but the fidelity that people are able to get now is nuts.
Right. Like the whole Keanu thing in
Cyberpunk.
I saw some post on Reddit being like, our entire history of improving the graphic fidelity of video games has been in the effort of getting Keanu like up to the real deal, like from Matrix, like the old Matrix game from like 2000.
Virtual Keanu avatar for all.
Yes, exactly. Anyway, I'll let you go, man. You're nice and busy.
All right.
I'll get back to your evening. And thank you again for one of these. That's for you. That's some claps
Thank
for
you
Steven.
very much.
And I guess
Have a great
I'll
night.
hope to see you in the chat at some point in the future too.
Yeah.
All right, see you, pal.
I'll be there.
Okay, and just one more time for everyone else, thank you for being here, and I guess we'll see you next week. Next week we have who is the... Oh, in the meantime, this back on. This track is so good. The next track. This one's excellent. There we go. Good tune. Next week we got I believe Urchan from Tail Worlds coming on. Who was the... Let me double check this. We do, yes. Urchan. We're looking at Richard Rasky's work. rrsounddesign.com. And Urchan is the audio director, I guess, rather, at Tail Worlds in Ankara, Turkey. They are known for the Mount and Blade series. So it's going to be a good time. Him and I go way back, kind of. So I'm looking forward to it. Okay, thanks everyone. I'll see you again next week. Later.